Hello, Miss D.
Boleh ke we can request all student to open their camera
Mesti
as
dahsyat
well.
pegang dua, Little Akitek dengan Gahara Batik.
Okay, we can start now.
Video. Tapi bagi mulut. Alright, enjoy the show.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum. A very good morning to everyone. Thank you for coming to the PAM-GAHARA Batik Millinial Workshop. Congratulations for being selected to be the finalists, the 15 finalists for the final on this competition. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to the students and their supervisor, and also the juries and PAM Education Committee. So this workshop is going to be live on PAM Facebook. So if anyone who are interested to join the workshop, they can tune in on PAM Facebook page. Okay. All right. Okay. The purpose of this workshop is for you to be able to develop your pattern further into usable pattern for batik. So, Encik Nik Faiz, our speaker today, will explain to you. Will give you an overview on batik industry and probably a little bit about PAM, about Gahara batik, and also will guide you in developing your pattern into batik block. Okay. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Encik Nik Faiz, Nik Amin, and then Cik Nik Faiz, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muluk. Hello everyone. Excuse me. My name is Nik Faiz Nik Mohd Amin from Gahara, and again, congratulations for being selected as the top 15 in this competition. And I'm sure there are some others who are not in the finalists, right? But they're just here to listen to the sharing. I would like to call it a sharing because definitely this is not a lecture or anything, but it's more of me sharing the knowledge of what I have, and I would like to hear feedbacks as well. So feel free to ask any question or anything along the way that I'm giving this. I'm going through the slides. It's not so much slide anyway. It's just a bit of pictures of what I have put in, and hopefully it will make you understand better of the process of batik, and most importantly for you to be able to know how do you position your motif into the composition so that it can be created into a form of fashion. So okay, all right. Let's go through a little bit about what today's discussion is about. First thing first, I will introduce to you the process of batik, and yeah, this is the most crucial part that you need to focus on, because designing can be just anything, and you will need to know what will that be used for and how will the implementation of your motif will take place. And then number two is about the placement of motif on fabric itself, because most of the designs that I saw shows that the pattern cannot be repeated, or the motif is too small, is too intricate, and we're dealing with the ink of producing the patterns is actually liquid. So we'll need to give some allowance of the motif of the wax to spread, to not have it smudge or anything. So we'll need to look into that also. And number 3 is about the development of design to suit theme and concept. So this is actually tips for you to to win this competition. You know, probably some criteria that we look at when we choose who will be the best to win this competition. All right, and then I also heard that Mr. Muluk has mentioned about, probably I can share a little bit of what Gahara is doing and who we are. So for that, let me go into another slide presentation. Just to go briefly of what we are, of who we are. We call ourselves as Gahara. The word came from Anak Gahara, which means pure descent. And why I choose this is because I would like to bring batik to a level that has not been done before. I'm the 3rd generation of batik maker in Kelantan, and also graduate in architectural studies. And you know, combining these two philosophies and technical aspects of batik and design from architecture, I would like to say that I have successfully created a standard of what Kelantan batik should be, if not Malaysian batik. Yeah, and then of course the process goes along the way, and there will be more to come. And the other aspect is about you know, creating socio-economic impact in my own village, and you know, on the CSR projects and whatnot. But first thing first, I will have to make sure that the design of Gahara will be talk of the town for some time, and it has been successfully done since the last 10 years. So this is what we do. We call our journey initially as Ruzz Gahara because it's actually the strongest brand name that we have created, and now we're coming to doing under Gahara version. So Ruzz Gahara is our label, is our high-end label, and being architecture student, I took the motif from wood carving, and the studies of the kingdom of Langkasuka, because I'm from Kelantan. Langkasuka is the kingdom in 30s, I think 13th and 14th century. And it covers Kelantan, part of Terengganu, Kedah, and also southern Thai. So from the ancient wood carving, I picked it and then I transformed it into a new composition of batik. You can see the development of my design process. From the far left, that's actually the wood carving, and then somehow it has been amended a little bit, and then I took it and then simplified it.
Sorry, Nik,
yeah.
your slide, I think it says something else. You have another slide that you're sharing, huh?
Yes, this is a vintage.
We're looking at how you turn your raw design into batik block.
Yes. What slides are you seeing?
How to turn your raw design into a batik block.
You cannot see this one.
You kena tukar kot. You kena unshare your first one. Tadi. You have to send again. And
share screen again. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it this one? Do you see?
Yes, now, yes.
The vintage elegance, yeah?
Yeah, sorry,
Nik. I'm sorry. It's okay, it's okay. Please let me know if something happened, because yeah, the technical issue. So again, this is the Ketamburi motif that I picked from the Langkasuka motif, and I developed that design into the new composition. The far right,
Nik, maybe you can go to the first slide.
Is actually the
Nik, maybe you can go to the first slide yang you yes, because tadi nampak kan.
Okay.
Now only we are looking at these slides. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So tapi I have already mentioned about the word Gahara and all. So this is one of our campaigns lah that we did. It was back in 2014. I started my journey in 2011 on bringing the new composition, the new motif, but the business has started since the last 13 years in 2007. coming to 14 years now. And okay, so this is the design that I was talking about. The far left is actually the wood carving motif, and the far right is the new composition that I did. So when I look at the composition that was submitted, or the design submitted by participants, I see some of the designs are a little bit too ambitious. The most important thing is we want to make it moderate, but at the same time, our concept is very strong, to be very strongly presented. And one thing architecture taught me is there's a subtlety in everything that we do. Less is more. That's one thing I still remember. And there are other things that whatever we do, we have to go in not on the bigger formation, but on the details. Yeah, there was this saying, like, you know, God is in the details, something like that. And to share you a little bit, Frank Lloyd Wright is my my idol. Everything that he designed really amazed me and brought me into something that I can see some niche and significant difference compared to others. So in everything that he did, you know, be it the wall hanging, be it the paneling or furnitures and whatnot. So probably those are the things that you can relate to yours. I'm sure you have your own idol and who you know, the concept that you follows. So for me, this is what I did. And then we came into the formation. You have to remember that I live in the situation where batik has been like that for decades, especially in Kelantan. And even though it's brought to KL or what, the design are still like, you know, it's a Malaysian batik design, but not favored by especially the younger generation. And I was young during that time. I was in my 20s. So I took that challenge and tried to bring out something different. And then, different, but at the same time, try to not be over the top. So subtlety is always the word that I use. That's actually basically the concept that I use. And then, we brought into 3 different segments. One is textile, or we call it yardage, art to wear. Don't call it ready to wear, because it's actually an art piece that we brought into wearable items. And the other one is the Ruzz Gahara home. And then a few success stories of us being in the magazines and TV channels. And recently we were in a few local mainstream magazines and TV stations as well. And this is the exhibition that we did back in New York, 2014. Yeah, and then we always travel all over the world, bringing out our collection. And I'm proudly saying that we have done it. We managed to penetrate into the international market, putting in the flavor of what international wants to have, wants to see, and wants to wear. But at the same time, we still bring the tradition with us, or the culture with us. So, but that is not really what this competition is about. It's not to say that you have to bring your own culture or what, but the most important thing is to let younger generation to wear batik, as simple as that. And then real batik, because we also want to educate people, wear real batik, because, you know, whenever I conduct lecture or anything, I will always ask whether you know what batik means. Maybe I should ask that question here also, but yeah, probably later whoever wants to share and give their opinion about what batik is. So this is the success stories that we have experienced since the last 13 years of our business involvement. And if you look at the colors, we know that certain continents or certain countries will have a different composition of colors or the palettes that they like. So we choose, we follow that flavor. Yeah, and then a few shots of where we have been. The logo of Ruzz Gahara, the previous one was like that. and trade shows. We also join in design competitions. We join in trade shows. We join in the the craft sharing, or like promoting our local products to the international markets as well. All right, and this is on the next chapter, but I'll just go very quickly on this. It's actually based on Rumah Gahara. It has been the mother of all the journeys that we have. And this is the new logo of us. And then later on, there will be 5 components of Rumah Gahara. One is academy, artisan, galleria, green, and also gastronomy. So it's no longer just about producing batik for selling. We are creating a community right now. Okay, so this one is a bit too technical for me to go through. Yeah, this is what the artist's impression of what Rumah Gahara will look like. And I always play with the elements of, if I can call it, universe. We have the metal, earth, wood, water, and fire. That was all implemented in this. So Gahara is always about whenever we introduce something, we will definitely have meaning behind it, or at least some stories to share. It's not just like, creating a collection of spring summer from the motif of Bunga Raya, for example, but it has to bring in some strong meaning behind it. Okay, now we're coming into the real slide of the day. Okay, I think I have to stop share this current screen now and share it again. Okay. Can you see the PAM-GAHARA Batik Millinial?
Yes, we can see it, Nik.
All right. So coming to the process. Okay, now I think I will. Will it be possible if audience can share some thoughts of what they have in mind about batik?
We can have that, I think, maybe after you completed your slides, then we can have the Q&A and interaction session.
Okay,
So,
no problem. All right. So a bit of introduction about batik. I know this process is a little bit meticulous, but I try to share with you the basic process of batik. Number one is block making. There are some other some other techniques of producing batik. One is chanting, and probably the most familiar with our community is chanting or hand drawn, and the rest are tie dye and everything. But now we are focusing on on stamping technique. So to go into that process, number one, after you have done design on paper or in computer, you will need to do the block. It's a copper block that we use and we mold and to create one block lah, like the one that you can see on the far left. Okay, and then number two, after the block is done, we'll go into stamping it on fabric. Yeah. This is the part that you will use hot wax. If you can see there, yeah, the guy is putting it into the hot wax and apply it on fabric. Yeah. So this is the most crucial part, when you need to know how big is the gap between leaves, for example, that they want to produce. You want to design. So that when the wax being smudged over a little bit, at least there are still gaps. So fabric can the dyes, the color will still go into or in between. All right. For example, like if you see in this part, if you can see my cursor, can you see it? Okay lah, I'll take this one. Yeah. Even though the motif looks very very close to each other between the flower and the buds, but the water, the color can still go in, because when we have done the whole process, the part that is waxed or is covered with wax will be white, or the fabric color, the original fabric color, and the background will be in this color, the emerald color. So you will need to know how big is the gap that should be. I would say at least 3 millimeters. Yeah, 2 millimeters to 3 millimeters for the gap. Then, unless you really want to make it like close to each other or connected to each other. Okay. And then after the stamping process, then we go into the coloring process. Coloring is quite basic. You know, you use it's like watercolor. Sometimes we use natural dyes, sometimes we use chemical dyes, but it's in liquid form, and then we apply it on fabric. Sometimes we use brush, sometimes we use sponge, sometimes we just dip into the color. And then after coloring, we let it dry, and then we go into washing and de-waxing. De-waxing is when we want to remove wax. So when we remove wax, it has to be fixed already. I don't put in fixing in here, but you know that after the color is dried, we will fix the color, and then we will wash it and de-wax it. So to remove the wax that is on the fabric. And then after we de-wax it, we'll dry it. That's it. So the 5 main process of batik. And yeah, from here, you can tell one is about how big is the gap should be, or how close can motif be to each other. And we'll go into the more serious one, where how the placement of motif on your fabric. Yeah, this is actually the most crucial part, and the reason why the workshop need to be done for the finalists. Sometimes, okay, most of the designs that I saw, we can just do it entirely on the fabric. For example, like the picture on number 2 from left. Okay, that picture, it shows that the motif is spreaded across the fabric. So let's say we have a 3-meter fabric for this, then it covers the whole 3 meters of fabric. Then it's just like full motif. And then the picture number 4, or the far right, you look at the picture at the tunic top inside, where motif is actually on the neckline, and then it goes further from each other on the motif, and smaller and further, so that it created the plain area, or in that case like the brown greenish color. And if you look at picture number 3, the black one, okay, that one has a breathing area, I call it, because of the black background is quite solid on certain area. Yeah. So for this part, I will need to know, or the whole panelists will need to know, how will you put your motif on the cloth? Yeah. So it's very crucial for us to know that, because some designs might be interesting when it's put closer to each other, and some designs will be more interesting when they are like breathing space or spaces. So yeah, this is this is what I have prepared, and we agreed to use the basic shirt as the form that you are producing for your design, but we don't limit to that. If you can explore on the fashion, go for it, but I don't think that will give much of privilege. But you have to explore more on the motif composition. I hope I don't confuse you guys, as I'm confusing myself.
I think it's very clear, yeah.
Oh yeah? Okay. All right. And then now we come into the 2-meter fabric that you will probably be producing. we'll have to get back into the organizer for that. It will be more interesting if the finalists can do their own fabric and their own batik using the motif that they have prepared. But of course, the motif will need to be blocked, the copper blocked first lah. Okay, the 2 meter fabric. We're talking about the shirt, or more specific, a man's shirt here. So just to give you the overview of how the pattern making will be like, and I don't know, maybe some of you have experience in pattern cutting, but this is the basic of tailoring or cutting on fabric to make man's shirt. So we divided into 3, 80 centimeters, 80 and 40. And the far left is going to be divided into 3 again, front left, front right, and the middle part is used for collar. Yeah. And then the middle part, 80 centimeters, the back, because the back we don't cut it, right? We don't separate it into 2. Yeah, it will be like one plain fabric. And then yoke is this part. I have to go into the next slide, and my cursor is not available here. This is yoke. You all can see, right? Yeah. So yoke is behind shoulder or on the shoulder. Yeah. So and back, and then sleeve. Sleeve here, I just put about 40 centimeters. It will be for the short sleeve, for both sleeves. So whenever you plan for placements of your motif on the fabric, you will need to know where will it be. Yeah, I'm sure you guys can screenshot this and refer it later on. So yeah, I think that's it for this. And then yeah, the product that you're going to produce, this is the basic. So from the placement of motif on the fabric, you will determine whether the motif will be on the body, whether it's top part like what I showed on the model just now, and the bottom part will be more plain, like the one that I'm wearing here. Yeah, this is full motif, but the color is heavier on the bottom side and getting lighter on the top. So that can be done as well. But let's not explore so much on the color range. Maybe you want to do like a ombre kind of concept or a technique or what. And then, yeah, whether it's top, middle, bottom part, whether it's full front or full in the back. So you have to determine that. And then whether it's motif on the sleeve, motif on the collar. If you have pocket, then you want to create motif on the pocket itself or motif overall. I don't put it pocket here because pocket is just like a small piece. So you can just do it somewhere in the fabric. Okay. And then some of you might want to create motif that is full overall. And some of you might just want to have it on the little part. And when we do batik, we can actually control the obviousness of the motif. Whether you want to create like, you know, motif that is sama-sama, it's like you see and you don't see, that can be done as well. As in you color the first layer first or the first fabric without wax, and then you apply wax using copper stamp, and then you apply the other color that is just like 1 tone or 2 tone darker than the previous one. And that creates motif that is not too obvious. Do I have that here? Something like this. I'm in my gallery, so it's easier. Okay, for example, like this part. You see the motif, but it's not very obvious as you see this part. This is the ombre that I was talking about. Yeah. So when you do
Cik Nik,
yes.
Kita tak nampak you tunjuk the example tau.
Okay. Dia satu-satu Okay, let me stop share first. And okay, now you can see my. Do you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Yeah, so meaning that you can see this one as well. So this is the one that I was talking about. Like this part is a little bit less obvious than this part, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because this one, this is the color that we did on the background first. before we apply we apply wax on it. So you can say you can have some ideas, like for example, like if you want to create this like ombre design first, or ombre technique of coloring first, and then you create you put your motif in, and then you color on the background, which is the black background. Okay. So because some designs will have it will be more intricate on some technique of coloring than the other design that might be more suitable for other techniques. Yeah, but yeah, that's all I can share for now, because I don't want to overwhelm participants with the techniques, whereas you have to explore on the motif, and probably we'll have some discussions later on whenever we choose the winner. We'll be looking into that of what technique will be best. Anyway, Encik Muluk, will we be able to share? Can I do some like critique sessions to each participant, or tak sempat?
Can, boleh.
Okay.
Banyak masa lagi.
So that maybe because each and every designs will have their own interpretation, I might need to get more information from them, and I will also need them to listen to what I have for that. Okay.
I think we have the 15 shortlisted here, and maybe you can comment one by one.
Sure.
Maybe one pattern you give 3 minutes to comment or something like that.
Okay.
You can do that. Yeah.
But let me go into one more slide of mine. Okay. So you see the product. Okay. So you guys are architecture students, and some probably are graduates, right? Or they are all students.
They are students, yeah.
Okay. This is what I learned in my architectural school. The design process of before we come into producing our own motif. But for this competition, I will say that we don't go into all 7, but we will have it up until number 5, if I'm not mistaken. So the most important thing is you are given with the project brief, and then you have to do research on what do you want to produce on your design. And I read through each and every submission of the concept and the philosophy behind the creation of the design, which is very interesting, but sometimes it doesn't tally or does not reflect. Probably this is the part that we need to listen, presentation, like verbal presentation from participants. And then design strategy, how do you formulate? And then coming into the conceptual development, because most importantly for us right now is to create motif that younger generation will wear. That's what Aspirana Millennia is about, from my understanding. Maybe for you, it might be something else. But again, as long as we try to give a bit more vibrant colors into our batik creation. When I mean by vibrant colors, it doesn't mean literally, but it means something that we can create so that people can see, oh, batik can be done like this. Yeah, because Gahara has done so, and I would like to hear to see from other people's perspective or other designers' perspective. Okay, and then refinement and submission. So yeah, basically this is what we put in the paper, in the poster, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, Kenny, I think you can go straight to the critique session when you want to critique the pattern. Maybe first you can start with a few of the patterns, and then maybe if the participants are interested to find out more about their design, they can voice out their queries.
Okay, so if I want to see the 15 finalists, where do I see it?
Idris ada sini. Idris. Okay, Cik Kamarul, Cik Kamarul ada di sini kan?
Ya, saya.
Maybe you can share the your student punya pattern for Cik Nik to create.
Alamak. I don't have the slide.
Oh, you don't
Maybe
have it.
boleh Camelia boleh present you punya ni tak?
Okay, maybe the participants.
Zulaika or Camelia Zulaika or apa ni?
Can I share my screen?
Fatihah.
Okay, boleh je.
Okay, Fatihah. Siapa Camelia dulu?
Cik Wan ada. Cik Wan ada. Okay.
Oh.
Cik Wan, you can share the
Cik Wan yang present. Okay, Cik Wan.
Cik Wan akan share the screen of the finalists. Okay.
Alright. Okay.
Tadi cakap tadi siapa? Camelia. Camelia yang mana satu? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Bawah. Untuk Camelia, Aisyah Camila.
Okay. I think that's an interesting pattern to start off the conversation. Cik Nik nampak yang Aisyah Camila punya pattern tu?
Nampak?
Okay. So maybe we can start with that. What is your comment on that design? Or maybe Aisyah Carmila want to present first. What is actually
the inspiration behind that? Aisyah ada tak ni?
Ada jap. Tengah cari tu.
Tengah cek nota
Dia punya slide apa dia punya e-log book ke?
Oh, good. But e-log book So yeah. So I think for the other participants also get ready
Get ready
to present your motif, your pattern to Mr. Nik. So Mr. Nik can assist you actually in developing further your pattern into batik pattern. So Aisyah, are you ready? If you're not ready, maybe we can have someone else.
Fatihah?
I think she's not ready. So someone else?
Fatihah. Mana Fatihah?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Fatihah, explain about your design. It's look very interesting here.
Yeah.
Very modern.
Yeah, I was going for something that's a bit recognizable and a bit more minimalist because as we know, millennials are right now the trend is to go a bit they like a bit more of the minimalist look because it says more rather than having a pattern that is very obvious, complicated. So this one is easily to be read. So as you can see, there's a triangular shape inside each petal, and there's different line weights. So it kind of shows depth towards the bunga raya itself, as well as really portray the Malaysian punya rukun negara. So that was mostly what I was going for in this batik design.
Oh, it's actually bunga raya.
And yeah, I was about to say.
It's a okay.
And then Fatihah, you mentioned about the different line weight of the motif, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that can be done on batik, but I think we did mention somewhere that when you produce artwork, it has to be in the size of about 20 by 20 centimeters. Yeah. Are you saying that this 20 by 20 only for one design, for one motif, or it will be repeated?
I think it's mostly why macam dia macam dapat sebiji tu is because you will have more flexibility during the blocking. So in a way you can orientate the design and combine it with other patterns as well.
Combine it with other patterns, meaning that
you can overlay on top of each other.
You mean, for example, like Regina Angli's artwork, be combined with yours, something like that?
No, meaning we repetitively put the pattern on top of each other or beside each other macam tu.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, all right. But when I look at this, when you say that it's only one motif in the block, it will be too big. The motif will be very big. But then you have the elements of a bigger component and the smaller components.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what I can advise you is when I look at the middle part of the flower, and I see in the petals there is something like something tear off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a little bit too strong. Yeah, and close to each other. So we don't see, because again when we do things in harmony, it has to be like, you know, repeating nicely, or it has to go in, it has to fit nicely, and unless you are like deconstructing the whole design. So again, it goes back into your philosophy and ideas. And when you say that is a flower of Bunga Raya, how about that like the leaf? I look at it like a keladi.
Yeah, I guess that would be like, I ada bunga raya at my condo downstairs too, so I didn't want to really, like, how do I say, to tiru betul-betul dia punya shape tu. So I tried to make it abstract as well, so in a way people would, I guess, be curious to know what it is.
Okay.
Rather than they
can tell.
Yeah.
I think it is interesting, your interpretation here, but now we are moving into a technicality of it, how to transform your design into a batik block. So I think Cik Nik has shared with us just now on how to make sure that, you know, the area that we want color to go in, there are some minimal space that you need to allow. Yes. So I think if you want to have that stem to overlap or penetrate your petals, then maybe you need to consider this advice. Otherwise, the two patterns will merge unless that is your intention. So if it is not your intention, then you need to give that a gap. So I think it is interesting to see how you develop this into your final design. You know, and if you say that you want to your pattern can be overlapped, give a sample. You know, in your video, you give us a sample how you want it to be overlapped. Okay. Correct. So that is why you know, it is important. In your video, you capture all the things that you want and all the possibility that can be done with your pattern.
All right, I'll take that into note.
Okay, all right. We go to the next one. Who want to showcase their pattern?
Me.
Okay,
Zulaika.
Okay.
Zulaika. Okay. So
ini bunga raya juga ni kan?
Bunga raya juga.
Okay. So dia contrast lah from Fatihah and Zulaika. Zulaika is more realistic, more realist than Fatihah in terms of the interpretations of the bunga raya pattern. Okay, explain.
Okay. So based on my understanding of team, which is Aspirana Millenia. Aspirana Millenia inspired by the young generation. So this design has been made with the concept of freedom. So freedom ni means having the ability to act or change without limitation. Maksudnya dia boleh berubah and flexible. So dia relate pada young generation sekarang, which that tend to act more flexible and freely in their life without any boundaries. So I inspired daripada bunga raya sebab bunga raya ni it symbolize the courage and vitality to the people. It has organic shaped petals and leaf that are often described as irregular and not obey the strict rules of geometry and symmetry. And dia boleh kait pada young generation tadi, which chooses to live freely and more diversely without without obeying the traditional myths that existed since the ancestral era. So organic pattern ni inspired the young generation to think freely and expand their creativity in life. So the organic pattern tu dia attract the young generation and expand visual interest in their soul. So since dia punya petal and leaf organic pattern and described as freeform, so saya tambahkan the touch of line which interpreted as the young generation path of their dream, which diorang punya dream ni which differ from each other as lines are not always straight or bent. So like so I in accordance with the concept of freedom and inspiration for Bunga Raya ni, I've decided to letak my my design as which name Young Dream.
Oh, Young Dream.
Yeah.
Okay, Zulaika, I think when you speak, you should on your video. I think that's the ethic of online
I'm sorry.
forum. So whenever you want to speak, you on your video.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We also want to see your facial expression. Okay,
okay.
Cik Nik ada comment? I think this one is very interesting to see how she developed it into a pattern.
Okay. Zulaika, you when you do this design, do you have you done repetition of those designs?
What?
Meaning that have you put your motif next to each other, like you repeat like this is one composition, right? And then you put it down, or because when I look at the it's not the silhouette. When I look the outline of that composition, it has certain special shape, and when we repeat that, whether there will be like gap or odd gaps or something, that whether you are intentionally doing that or you don't want to have that to happen.
Yes, can do like that. Macam nak repeatkan dia punya like more to the grid lines punya apa untuk nak repeatkan
The
benda tu boleh.
repetition is normal repetition on a grid kind of repetition, not like follow a radial repetition or something like that.
Okay, ataupun you try to put this motif next to each other and you see whether they are like empty areas. Sebab I nampak ni macam tak tahulah, sebab I have to put that side by side and then see whether the repetition will come smoothly or not.
Okay.
Yeah, because when you do block, macam you tengok dekat my slide just now, we repeatedly stamping on it, on the fabric. So we need to see whether that composition will come nicely or not. Yeah. In terms of lines that you produce tu nampak macam dah okay. Kalau screen ni boleh di zoom in lagi tak? I nak tengok dekat sikit.
Cik Wan, try zoom boleh tak?
Boleh tak?
Dekat Zulaika punya pattern tu.
Actually, Cik Wan, you boleh klik on dekat web tu, so that you boleh masuk kepada yang besar lagi. Okay, go to the competition brief. Click on competition brief. Competition brief. Okay. Okay. Click on. Go down.
Scroll down.
Go down. Okay. Round 1 submission close.
Klik situ.
Okay. It will go into. Okay. So from here you can pick lah yang Zulaika yang tadi. You pick on the blue link. Dia akan masuk yang besar.
Ni 47, yes, correct.
Okay, click on the 47. Okay, scroll down. You can see that.
Okay, now I can see.
Hmm.
All right.
Oh, I can see that actually she already have in mind that this is going to be a block, kan?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite interesting. But okay, when we look at the buds of the bunga raya, memang you make it a hole in the middle ke, so that the color can go in.
Yes.
Okay, so it's just like again it goes into the outline.
Outline, yeah.
Alright.
Outline.
Okay, okay. Okay, so sekejap. I'm
Maybe Zulaika kena ada part tu yang dia boleh solid kan tu kot. Lagi yang petal part tu kan.
I think that what we want to see during the development lah, how you how you do that. Is she your student, Cik Kamarul?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you understand kan what is required for her to develop this design into a blockable batik, eh? Okay, all right. Any further comment from Cik Nik?
I think that's it. Cuma I'm trying to see if I can go into the website and so that senang nak tengok, nak turun naik dia.
Oh, I see. You ikut macam yang Cik Wan buat tadi tu. Pergi ke round 1 punya list of participants.
I'm already in this PAM-GAHARA Batik Millinial Student Design Competition. And then round 1, apa yang tadi? Sekejap ya. Let me share my screen. Okay. Alright. You all can see my screen now?
Ya, nampak ya. Scroll down.
Okay.
Scroll down.
Yang ni ke?
Ni no. I think you are.
Yeah. Klik yang tu.
This one, eh?
Yeah.
No, it's not private. Show details. Tak boleh, eh?
Oh, tak boleh.
Tak apa. Download poster.
Bukan kat sini. Dia dekat yang tadi tu. Yang batikmillennial.com.my tu.
Oh, yang ni.
Yes, this one.
.ads.my ya. Okay.
This connection is not private. What does it mean?
Try click on the show detail. Mungkin dia pernah buka kod dia macam ni. Okay. Visit the website.
This way, visit the web. Yeah.
Okay.
You punya privacy setting is too
mungkin lah.
Too strong.
I opened it before. It was okay. Too strong, eh? Okay. Alright. Now I think I can go in. Sebab kalau I yang control the screen boleh tengok.
Apa ni?
Mungkin again. Okay. Ataupun perhaps kalau Ridwan boleh share yang tadi, sebab Ridwan buka tadi okey.
I think the
setting kot.
Setting. Anyway, okay. Kalau tak ada komen lagi, kita move to the next one. Kita ada 15 to review. So baru 2. So next one, siapa nak volunteer untuk ni? Cik Ridwan, maybe you can share the screen balik semula.
Yes.
Hello.
Me.
Hello.
Aisyah, yang mana you punya pattern?
Number 3.
Number 3, eh?
Yeah.
Yang nombor 3 ya? Scroll down, that one.
Apa ikut sini?
Okay, so I inspired by the Manchester City Hall. The reason why this building has been chosen because this building have their own unique and it can transform to batik design because the design is modern style. Nowadays, most of batik looks dull, classic. So for the new design, need to have different looks. So based on the research, the cutifoil shape come from Latin, which means four leaf. This shape usually used in art, design, and architecture. A little bit about the history of the cutifoil. This shape is used in centuries, and designer and artists still use it today. So no one knows.
Can you repeat again? What is it? Manchester City Hall?
I inspired by the Manchester City Hall punya building dekat sana lah.
Kat Manchester?
Yeah.
Okay. I've not seen the building, so I don't know how it looks like.
Okay.
Who is the architect for this building?
I'm from Manchester. I work in Manchester. Why do you want to do that?
I nak ambil yang dia punya ada certain part dia punya corak tu nampak unik.
You pun belum visit this building kan Di? Manchester building ni.
Manchester City Hall.
Have you visited the
If
building?
I may, I think I understand what she's saying. I briefly did visit that building, but so many years ago, so I can't exactly. But around the facade, there are some of these motifs which, looking at her design now, I can see there are some semblances to the motif. It's quite a universal motif. Like you find it in Europe, you find it in Malay carvings as well. So I think that's what she meant. Betul tak?
This is a Gothic architecture, is it?
There's a mix of Gothic. There's a mix of I think some Renaissance as well.
Yes,
so
it's quite.
I thought the motif is from macam teratai ataupun seroja, which is
itu pun ya juga.
More to Kelantan punya culture.
That's what I said. It's quite universal. You know, these kind of simple things, you find them in almost every culture. Even Chinese pun ada juga. So it's fairly universal. Yeah.
But Manchester City Council is quite.
I think
it's quite Gothic, yeah.
Gothic, yes, more Gothic, yeah. More Gothic.
Maksudnya dia punya pointed tu yang buatkan dia nampak Gothic. Kalau dia style Nusantara punya style, dia akan nampak lebih curvy lah, kan? Dia tak ada pointed.
Yes, yeah. The Nusantara style is more orang kata berlengkok dan berlengkut.
Yes. This one because ada curvy tu dia nampak Gothic style tu.
Yeah.
Okay.
The inspiration is actually bunga teratai lah.
Aisyah, I think you are actually taking just a part of the decoration on that building as for your inspiration, kan?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Okay. So then, can you explain how do you develop it into this pattern? Because I can see that there are 3 same pattern and 1 different motif.
Okay, so I come up with my concept, which is 4 flow. The reason why this concept called 4 flow because it shows the meaning of the shape, which is quadruple. 4 flow is about the combination between 2 words, which is 4 floor. And then why I choose this about I want to show the 4 florets tu lah dekat my design tu. And then this one I doublekan dia and I rotate it to make it unique lah, lagi unique. So yang besar tu I jadikan dia florets to main lah, untuk main untuk nampakkan.
Sorry. Jadikan apa? Floor apa?
Floor. My concept is flow. 4 floor.
4 floor?
Maksudnya floor apa tu? 4 florets.
Is it flower or is it?
Lebih kurang.
Cuba you type dekat chat ni. I think kita orang mendengar macam-macam lain-lain.
Kan? Dengan flow.
Cuba apa ni?
Dia kata florets.
Check box ni boleh?
F-L-O-R-E-T-T-E-S. Florets. Betul ke Aisyah? Florets.
Yeah.
Okay, florets tu is inilah, it is related to flowery patterns lah. And florets ni is a very particular, like usually a very set kind of flowery pattern that is geometrized.
When she type it only, I understand what she means.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, for florets. Okay. Betul lah.
You need to
Tapi betul lah
improve
what I said.
Yeah,
that's the English. In French, it's F-L-O-R-E-T-T-E-S. Betul lah. Same thing. Yeah, same
thing. Yeah,
okay.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, Nik, any comment on how this pattern will be batikable?
This pattern is interesting. Again, I would like to see how it is composed, whether it will be composed on a grid or what. And but I am a bit distracted dengan the joint of the two motifs, the bigger one and the smaller one, especially macam kalau
the overlapping part, right?
Macam
when they overlap
right in the middle. Yeah, overlapping is okay, but again, I really cannot read this design. Tapi interesting lah. Maybe the next submission will need to be submitted in such a way yang kita ada satu block and then the repetition of the blocks. Macam mana the participant will intend to create the design to be like.
I think, Aisha, do you understand what you need to do for this, to develop this pattern into something which can be transformed into a batik pattern?
Yeah, faham.
You know, when you see here, you have the overlapping of the floret motif on top of each other, but it is not very clear how do you want to do that. You have to remember where the colors are going to go in between the wax.
Yeah.
So you need to you need to really think on how to position your pattern. I think you already have it in a certain way. You know, it's just that you need to develop it further to make it viable for it to be transformed into a copper batik block.
Yeah. And then I see here a different line weight as well. And then I'm quite concerned about the part yang okay, maybe I can share my screen now sebab I dah jumpa dah artwork.
Okay, alright.
Sekejap share screen. Okay, do you see my screen? Aisha?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, like for example, like this part, there will definitely be a smudge on wax on this line. So
Yes.
kalau you have to simplify this further.
Yes.
And then
if I may, Nik and Mulu, if I may. By the way, in case I haven't introduced myself, I'm Naj Arifin and I'm one of the jury. And so I would like to also mention, Nik, if you don't mind, can you, apa tu besarkan balik? Okay. Something much related to what Cik Nik mentioned is, and this applies to not just this one, but to all, even the previous two that have presented as well. Cik Nik very, very importantly mentioned that you need to understand how the colors need to be put in. So if your if your design is too dainty and too small, you will have so much smudging. Okay, so for this particular one, for example, I would think that sorry, I don't have a cursor that I can show, but you just imagine from what I say, the big pattern on the right side with the 4-leaf clover kind of thing. Maybe that is the one that should be the smaller ones. Okay, and then one of those smaller ones, those three.
Is it this one?
Yang besar ni lah.
Okay.
There's a way for viewers to also use their cursor, but I forgot how. I used to remember. But anyway, yang besar yang ada
you can go up to the annotate. You can actually move your mouse.
How do I do that? Ya, lupa lah.
You view option. You go ke atas tu, view option.
Okay, view option, yes.
And then ada annotate.
Annotate.
Yes,
Okay.
I click there and then
okay. Can you see my?
pen.
Okay. Choose. Okay. Can you see my mouse now? Can you see my mouse moving on it? No.
No. You draw. You choose draw.
Oh, choose draw. Okay. Okay. Choose draw. Okay, this one. Okay. Now.
Okay. Nampak. Yes.
Okay. I would think that to comply with the actual practical requirements of the batik color introduction process, you need to choose a bigger one like this motif, and this one becomes the smaller ones, and the small one like this goes here. You see, you understand what I mean? So that yang detail ni, yang apa tu banyak dia punya garis-garis ni, this one is bigger and it's easier to put in the colors, because yang ini definitely these are going to smudge because the lines are too small, yeah? And it's the same with the others as well, not just yours. So all of you need to remember that these very dainty or very detailed little lines yang ada kecil-kecil tu, dia susah nanti nak contain the colors. Okay? Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Ataupun Cik Nik boleh advise kita dari segi satu blok tu biasa berapa size normal size of the block tu?
About 20.
So that kita boleh tahu lah what is the minimum of line yang allowable. Dan maksudnya kalau kita print dia takkan pecah lah.
Like I mentioned before, line gap dia tu kena at least 2 mm.
2 mm.
Line dia paling nipis tu 2 mm.
No, not line paling nipis. The gap between two lines. It has 2 mm.
Yeah, the
okay,
gap.
Cuba you share size of you punya block tu. Normally from range from berapa sentimeter to berapa sentimeter?
Actually, size of the block is not very important. Some pattern, when you use big pattern, you have bigger block. If you want to use small pattern, you can. So the size of the block is not as crucial as the space in between the lines.
Let's say kalau kata student sekarang ni, okay, apa yang dia tunjuk sekarang ni, this is a 1-to-1 punya scale. Maksudnya this is like actually yang akan dicetak, which is this size lah. Size sekarang ni. Adakah, okay, so issue dia yang nipis tu adalah berapa nipis yang dia can go if this is the 1-to-1 scale punya pattern?
Okay, kalau the thickness of the line tu tak ada masalah. Sebab I mean the nipis tu, it can be as nipis as 0.1 or as thick as 0.3. Yang tu kita tak boleh nak, because you know one thing is about the thickness of the copper, and the other thing is when you put in the wax, hot wax, and then you apply on fabric, yang tu kita tak boleh nak control the thickness of the wax tu. Somehow we can, but we cannot go by like millimeter punya base lah.
Yes, sebab kalau dia wax tu cair, dia nipis lah. Kalau wax tu pekat, dia tebal.
Kan? Kalau wax tu tebal, dia nipis. Kalau wax tu cair, dia tebal.
So I think line is not an issue here. It's the distance between the line.
Yeah. Tapi the size of the wax, the size of the block pun dia ada maximum dia. It cannot go beyond.
Yes.
Maybe 28 centimeters. You cannot go beyond that. Sebab we will put in the hot pot, so the pot will come in size. So,
yeah, depends on the size.
Okay. 28 cm.
Kira kurang sikit dari satu kaki.
Yes, kurang sikit. Because the size of the pot is actually satu kaki.
Okay, kalau Cik Nik tengok yang this pattern, actually dia akan buat 3 blok kan?
Tak, satu blok.
What come in one block?
Tak Amin, kalau kata this kind of pattern, adakah this pattern ni I rasa dia boleh, is a different block, dia baru dia cetak tu, baru is
no, this is different size. So dia different satu block. Ini satu block. So that's why we ask the student to show us how do you gonna repeat this pattern to make it into
sekarang you kena produce one. Okay.
Because the competition is asking you to produce one block. So from that one block, you're gonna repeat it. How do you repeat it?
Okay.
Will up to the creativity of the participant. Sama ada
I see.
read, you know, you nak buat dia bulat ke, clockwise, anti-clockwise, mirror. So there's a lot of other way of repeating. Basically, it's a repetition exercise. Batik block is a repetition.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we have discussed for quite sometimes on this pattern. We move on to the next one. Okay, next next finalist. Siapa?
Chong Yun Kit.
Number
9.
Number 9.
Yeah.
Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hello everyone. So actually my concept is actually minimalist and modernist architecture add together. So it's inspired by two buildings. One is the Saloma Link and one is the Sultan Sahaluddin Aziz Mosque, which is the Blue Mosque in Malaysia. So I took the elements on the buildings to insert into my designs. So it will be more modernist, and you can see also there's something like traditional inside this batik pattern. So I already make it like a repeated pattern. So it's like when it's repeated, it will look like a shape. Wow, W-A-U. Yeah. So you can see basically it's also focused on the details also. Actually, I got a presentation slide. Can I show the repeated pattern?
Okay, can.
Sure.
This is what I mentioned to Mr. Nik. Actually, some of the participants, they have already submitted a very advanced block.
Okay. Can you see the slide?
Yes, we can see the slide.
Yeah, so the repeated pattern is something like this.
Oh.
Yeah, so it will be like a vowel structure. It also can tell something like Malaysia cultures.
But, okay, I think you need to understand the process of repeating the pattern, because at the moment now, the batik production is not as accurate as computer, I think.
Right.
So how are you, how are you going to make sure that the joints between the patterns are going to be like what you are your envisage? So you need to consider that when you develop your pattern further, because these are manual. People are manually going to chop the batik. So it won't get as clean as your pattern that you show us here. But it is very interesting. I think it's interesting. The pattern that you created here is very interesting. Okay.
For example, you can see me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
Whenever I want to repeat pattern, I will always make sure that wax won't be joined with other wax, because for example, like this one, this comes in one motif, and then the joint is actually separated by the color. Yeah, because when we create motif that is joined with other motif, that's when you will see the smudge of wax, and then it will create one line, and it will be very ugly. So, probably what you can do is try to create a block that has the most composition, and then the joint will have the least composition, will have the least motif. Yeah. So, for example, instead of you join the middle part of the wow, or the biggest part of that,
maybe this is the one block, maybe,
yeah, and then you can shift it to the other part.
Yeah, because this one is most intense, so we don't want the joint to be at the most intense pattern. We want it at the minimalist. For example, at this joint, then this can be one block. One block.
Yeah, correct.
So instead of the this as one block, maybe this is one block.
Yeah.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's interesting. This pattern is interesting. It's just that you need to develop it so it can be used in the batik pattern.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. We move on to the next one.
I'll then share my screen. Number.
Justin, what's number? What is your number?
Hi. You can see me, right?
Yes.
I actually have some slides and pictures to share, so maybe I can share my screen.
Which number?
Okay.
Now tell us which one is your pattern.
I can share my screen, then you will see the pattern. Yes. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep. Oh, okay.
Okay. This is the this is the pattern. Introduce myself again. My name is Justin. I registered as Mogoi. So yeah, this is the pattern inspired by I think the thing that relates to millennials is the streamlined pattern behind the hibiscus, which gives a really modern feel and like a revival of Art Deco, especially in 21st century. And then again with Bunga Raya, as of a lot of us have used it, it really represents the national identity. So this is the pattern itself, and I actually did take in considerations on how the stamp should look like. So this is what I picture how it should look like. It's like a 18 times 18 block, and then even the gaps of the lines within the hibiscus, I also understand that how the process requires the 2mm gap, a minimum gap between the lines. So I've taken all into consideration. I think I produced this block design. So one thing about the concept is I also considered on how marketable and how it is how important it is to make batik design approachable by millennials, the younger generation especially. So I think one really important thing for millennials now is the ability to customize it according to their own taste. So the pattern that I developed, it can actually be formed into different patterns. The idea behind this is that one single block can be formed into different patterns according to the individual or the customer's requirement. They would however they would want it. So I think this is a very marketable strategy, and it gives a personal touch for the customers as well. Let's say I'm like a young man, I want to try out batik, but I want a little one of my own little twist to it. I have a different variety of patterns to choose from the same pattern. So this is one of the I tried placing out on a shirt, on a dress, and this is how it looks like in one of the patterns that you can create, where it's placed diagonally, and then it creates this pattern, which gives a really streamlined look. Whereas there's also another more different pattern for a men's look, which gives it a more stable kind of feel. It's all created with the same pattern, the same motif, but the alignments and the arrangements itself give a different sense of individuality. And I also picture it as detachable, as I've seen some stems can be detached. So the core can actually be detached out and to form like its own pattern, while the backdrop of the flower, which as my explanation I've said, it's like the window, it can actually form into the borders. Because considering the only one block, so and some of the batik designs that are really nice, they actually have multiple blocks and multiple motifs going on. So this is how I incorporate them into one single block. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, Nik, as I mentioned, some of the entry are actually very advanced in the development of their pattern, and they have already think of the fashions and things like that. So what is your comment?
Okay, Justin, have you done batik before?
I've done once myself when I went to, was it Kelantan? Somewhere there, Terengganu or somewhere there. It was like a road trip and they gave us experience on the hand-drawn ones.
Awesome, because you understood exactly what it is to do batik, and then in fact you have also shown something that batik can be blocked and colored overall, or it can be colored using brush to one element. So yeah, I have no question and no other comments.
Thank you.
Okay, I think it's good that you share your slides so other participants also can see how you can develop your how to be creative in interpreting the block. It can be detached. It can be detached kan Cik Nik? The block can be detached into two different pattern. Yeah.
The block is formed in one composition, but when you do the color on each element differently, then it will be shown as it's detached. For example, like maybe Justin can show again the shirt. I mean the dress. That one. The B4. The B4. Yes.
Before, yeah.
Understand that the border is actually on each and every motif of the flower, but when you don't color inside that, then it will not be seen. So this is like the advanced technique on batik. Well done.
Okay. All right, thank you, Justin. Can we have the next one?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next one, state your number.
Or maybe they can share the screen.
Oh, you can share the screen.
Anybody want to share the screen?
Cik Amaro, any of your student lagi ada? Ke dah tiga-tiga dah present?
Ya, saya.
You punya student semua dah present?
Ada.
Okay, Delia, your student dah. Okay, Delia, you punya student dah present belum?
I rasa baru seorang aja present. Ada Regina. Can Regina present? And then there's two more. Selvin. Is Regina here, please?
I can present. Hold on, yeah.
Okay.
Others, please get ready. Everyone, if you can't present, you let us know. So not make us wait.
Miss D, you said your students, who is it? Regina and also Kelvin.
Selvin, just now Justin already presented.
Okay,
then Selvin, and there's another one, I think.
Okay, maybe perhaps Regina go first, then after that Selvin. Mr. Muluk, I think you need to arrange the students' turn. I think you have to force them to present.
Hello, guys.
Okay.
I will start sharing screen, yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Oh yeah, actually, I'm sharing from my tablet, so I'm not sure if you can see me when I'm sharing the screen. So if you can't see me, I'm sorry about that.
Can, we can see you.
Okay, all right, nice. So basically my batik project, batik copper block is inspired by quite personal. Penang when I was younger, usually market, especially when I'm low, which is in my house, obviously, I will see like a lot of views, maybe my neighbors walking past, or maybe like kids playing outside, or either like animals. So I always like to stay out of the
your pattern is not shown, Regina.
Or still uploading.
Still uploading.
I think she's lagging here. She's lagging. Regina lagging, Muluk.
Regina is number 32,
Yeah. She's not here now. Muluk, unmute please.
Oh.
Maybe we can go for C1 key. Miss D student, C1. C1, your snack. Where is it? Yoo-hoo.
Selvin,
Miss D, where's your student?
Maybe
I don't know where's the student.
Selvin.
Maybe I can go next.
Okay, Selvin. Okay,
Selvin.
Selvin, you go next. All right.
Let me share my screen. This is the pattern that I've created. The concept behind this pattern is actually inspired by architecture element, which is porosity. Because this pattern, when I was first developed, I was thinking from a perspective from architecture. So the concept here is porosity, because when I think about architecture, the mass of the building, there must be pores. The pores may be the openings, may be the skylight for the light or for ventilation. So in this batik, applying the similar behavior of how we're designing a building or architecture, there is porosity, which is the circles, solid and voids. The circles will be represented as void in this pattern, so that people interact visually when it's printed on the batik or printed on the cloth. From near, from far, people interact differently when they first saw how the pattern is created. Besides, I'm using different line weights from the thick to thin in the middle, so that it creates rhythm in this pattern, so that when our body movement, so it creates rhythm up from where people interact visually. That's how I develop this batik pattern. That's all from me.
Okay, Encik Nik, any comment?
Do you have the repeated pattern on this?
I haven't done the repeated pattern from this yet.
I see. Yeah, actually, this is one of the few that I think has a very strong points, and I did read the summary of this composition, and it's very interesting. It's just that again, as I was mentioning before, we might not be able to control the thickness of lines when we put into batik. But again, it's still subjected to the composition that you do, and I see it's heavier on the side compared to the middle part. So again, maybe you can make joints at the part that is least crowded, or the heavier part to be in the point that is probably the center of the block, and the side that is going to be joined with the next block will need to be lesser. Yeah.
I see the potential also. It's just that my idea also is similar to what Mr. Nik has mentioned just now. You know, maybe you need to change the block. Instead of the more intense to the side, is the more intense to the middle.
Correct. Yeah.
And maybe you can see. I think it depends on what are the end impact you want. I feel that maybe you can also make the size of the hole bigger, you know, so it is not that intense, and yet you still get the same effect. These are some of our suggestions lah. I mean, like, it's still up to you to develop further your pattern, because at the end of the day, this is still a competition, you know. So if you want to win, you will make sure that your design can be transformed into a batik that can be used by millennials.
Correct.
Okay.
May I ask something? Kejap, ya?
Yeah.
Sorry. Apa tu? I have seen designs similar to this in batik where you have sort of a gradation of the dark and light, and of course when you do it in color, gradation from one color to another. And I'm a bit mystified how it's done in practice. So ini nak tanya Cik Nik sikit. Macam yang ni kan, apa tu? You can see that on one side this part is more is smaller, and then this part the circles or the how do you say it, the oblongs are bigger. Is that the only way to make the gradation, or there's another way to make the gradation of light to dark, or dark to light, or different colors?
Yeah, actually, if we implement this on batik using wax to create gradation, it will be the first. I have not seen in my life that.
Okay.
The normal gradation is done using
colors, yeah.
So again, for example, like this. So the gradation is done by color in the background before we put wax on. So this is the normal practice. When we do this, we will be the first in the world.
Okay, very good. Yeah, itulah. I have seen it before. That's why I said I'm mystified how it's done. Obviously, it can be done, but we need to experiment lah. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Saltin.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Regina, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm so sorry about just now.
Okay, you can reshare your screen and continue your presentation.
Thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Currently, I'm on my batik blog. Okay, I'll repeat again. My batik copper block is inspired by window planes or space, in a space. Actually, this is quite personal. For me, I got this idea of maybe millennials will have their own reminiscence memory from before, maybe from the past, and maybe from when they were kids. For me, why I picked this element, this architectural element, window planes, because when I was a kid, I usually stare out the window. I look at my neighbors, I see people pass by, I see kids playing outside, I'll see some cats strolling outside. So that's where I usually have like my eye opening through the window. So I would usually, if you ask me when was the first time I seen a batik, I would say through the window also, because my neighbors would wear the batik as like their pants, and then they walk around to the market or something. So that's where I usually stare out from the window and see a lot of things. So this reminds me of how me myself, when I was a kid, I usually remember all these kind of things, small little things. So I got this idea of like maybe not just me, millennials, when they're younger, they also have this similar type of similar types of memories where when they was a kid, what reminds them of maybe their old house, maybe when they were kids, they're playing with their friends or hanging out with their family. So it can be whatever memory when they were younger. But for me, this would be one of the memories when I was younger. So I took this idea, this memory idea to design a batik block, and also I also plan to make it more minimalist. So it seems like the window plane and like the shadows casting down, and the side plane, which is just the wall. So I would say that this would be my batik copper block, and it's designed to be more minimalistic to suit the taste of millennials.
Show us your repetition.
Yeah, all right. So this would be my repetition. So when it's chopped out, it looks like this. And I have other images of how it looked like on a cloth, on a fabric with the colors on. This is one of them. I try to imitate the wax idea where they chopped out the wax. And yeah, and I also took this into consideration, not just, okay, maybe this competition is about the batik block, but I also thought that it would be nice to show some like tie-dye-ish styles, which is trending now among young people. So I also immigrate the batik copper block on like tie-dye styles batik. So it looks more modern in a way, and also it makes simple and yeah, modern. So there's another color. And this is how it looks like on maybe a man's suit, where you can also like wear it to any occasions to show that you're also wearing some special batik designs, not just a plain design, but also a very modern, or I can say that modern inspired by traditional styles. And this is the dress also, and this is a tudung. I think that's all from me.
Okay, Cik, any comment?
First thing first. Oh yeah. Maybe you can go back into your design.
Okay.
Oops, okay.
I have no problem with the design. It's just that the frame of that window, when you look at the two lines, it may be too close to each other. So maybe you will have to make sure that the line is more than 2 mm or 3 mm.
All right.
And can you go back into the jacket? Okay. When I look at this one, I see the motif is too big. And definitely it won't be fit into the 28 centimeters size. So, and then when I look at the dress next to this one, is even bigger. So you will need to look into the
scale.
Yeah, the scale.
Yeah, scale.
So, this big,
I understand.
No problem with a line, but it won't fit into into that size of block lah.
Yeah, understand.
That's it. That's all. But it's
All right,
very interesting though, because we can see like there's a dimension on the composition. It is the perspective, or you play with the depth of the design.
Yeah,
Yes,
it doesn't look just flat. It looks more of pop-up stuff.
Yeah, kind of like a 3D effect. So I'm interested to see this on a tie-dye batik. So I think it's going to be very interesting. And it's a bit and it's also unisex, that it can be applied for both gender, male and female. I'm glad that we can see a few of the design can be applied to both gender. Okay, we move on to the next one. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next one.
May I share my screen here?
Yes, you share your screen.
Okay, so I am Nurul Najia Arifin from UIAM Sri Iskandar. So I start with a little bit of introduction about my batik. So during this COVID-19 pandemic era, a lot of people are facing hardship, right? So many loses their jobs. Students cannot cannot further their studies in the normal academic session. So this leads to increasing number of mental illness problem, as I can conclude here. So as for me myself, as a student, I have to undergo online distance learning, and that is a little bit contributing to stressing me as I cannot undergo my normal studio life. So as I found in some research, art therapy, art itself has been used as a complement to traditional mental health treatment. So a few people who suffer from mental illness said that art can help them to acknowledge and recognize their feelings that have been lurking in their subconsciousness. So me and my groupmate are trying to play with some existed motif with a meaning of motif that to show some essence that can stressing on harmony points, like tantrum design and also mega mendung pattern. This motif is to show that we ourselves need to have patience in life as a way to know our worth and love ourselves. And then it's to show that the bigger passion we have in life can awaken the love inside and we can become a better version of ourselves. And also we played with some abstract pattern along the batik that shows that we always have freedom in creating things and it's okay to be open and express ourselves in some way, especially millennials this day. And that's all from me.
Have you come up with the repetitious pattern?
No, I haven't done the repetitious pattern yet.
Okay, Cik Nik, any comment?
Maybe you can scroll up a bit so that I can see the full. Oh, maybe zoom out a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I have no problem with this motif. It's just that there might be some elements that is a bit too crowded at some parts.
Okay.
Much, and maybe there's something like the lines that you might need to loosen out to, instead of like there's 30 lines, you can make it into 15 only, and the rest are okay. I kind of like the composition, but I'm excited to see how the repetition will be like.
I think this one potential probably is not the grid repetition, right? It maybe there is a certain way of her composition. So I think there's a lot of potential from this pattern after it has been developed. It still need a bit of a development to transform it into a batik block. But I think your supervisor is here, so she can supervise you to develop this further into a batik pattern.
Yeah.
I don't have my supervisor here.
You are from UIAM Puncak Alam, kan?
Sri Skandar.
Oh, Sri Skandar. Sorry. I saw a lecturer from UIAM Puncak Alam. I thought she's your supervisor. Okay.
My supervisor is not here today.
Okay, it's okay. I think you have got the and you also see some other competitor product, kan? So you can actually learn from them as well.
Okay.
All right. We move on to the next one. Next one will be
Priya Kumar Mulu.
Yeah.
Priya Kumar. Yeah.
Hello. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Yeah, still morning. 15 more minutes.
Okay, I'll share my screen.
Yeah.
Can you all see?
Yes.
Okay. So first, I would love to go from the inspiration behind this design. So the inspiration behind this design is about connections. So one part of the design is based on the connection between lines, dots, and also grids. So the reason why I chose grids to be a part of this design, it is because that the concept of the whole competition is about Aspirina Millenia. So when we go talk about Aspirina Millenia, the younger generation, they expect it to be in they want the batik design, but they want in a modern way. So that's why I implemented the grid, and also this one here is actually one part of a staircase. It is a staircase, a perspective angle from an upper angle to a lower angle. So the reason why I chose staircase as the main element for my design, it is because millennials are very ambitious these days. They want to be successful, and careers matters the most to them. So staircase will be the perfect visual image of millennials to climbing their milestone to achieve goals. As the saying goes that every single success starts with a small step. So that's why I implemented the staircase as my main element of this design. So when we look at this pattern, it is particularly a combination of 2D and 3D patterns. So if this one is 3D and this one is a 2D pattern. So I was also inspired by the traditional batik. So that's why I kept this design also as a part of this particular design. So this one is this perspective staircase. It is actually rotated, and when it is fabricated into a real fabric or a real t-shirt, it will be repeatedly, I think, overall, because when this is actually the vertical lines, right? So I think when it is fabricated to in a real fabric and overall pattern, I think the vertical lines had to look, anyone who wears it to look slimmer. So that's the overall idea of the design.
Okay, have you come up with the examples of the repetition?
There's no example, but I did. Wait, can you see this?
Yes, we can see that.
This one is actually the initial idea, but haven't finalized yet. But the critics can give their comments for me to improve.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right.
All right. Cik Nik, any comment?
So Priya, this is one block composition, right?
Yes.
And when you put black, meaning that the black will be the colored one lah, the one without.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. It's just that when I look at the composition again, the definition of lines, meaning that the thickness, you have few different thickness, and probably if that is actually the point that you want to stress on, you may need to enhance it further, that the thickness, the thicker line has to be thicker, and the normal line has to maybe maintain or whatnot. And then I don't see joints that is too close. Oh, I do see that. When you say spiral, like the middle part of the spiral, right? Too close.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe you will need to, I don't know, simplify that or loosen it out a bit more. And so the mode, right? Like when it's on the fashion, it will be like going, the lines will be like vertical. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'm interested to see when it's composed into the, in one fashion composition.
I thought this is a composition already, because I can see that actually this is one block. This is actually the block, right?
Meaning that you want to have that as one block, or the whole 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 as one block?
my initial idea was the whole one as one block. But when it comes to turning the pattern into the batik form, maybe I need to simplify a bit.
Yes. Because the idea of the block is actually you can repeat the block. You don't have to repeat the block on one block.
Yeah. But then when you use that as one block, the one that Cik Muluk draw just now, the other side is actually mirrored, not repeated. Yeah, so batik cannot be mirrored. Yeah, so
not like your computer. So this is actually your block lah.
Or maybe the 4 is actually the block.
The 4, yeah. The 4. This is actually 2 block,
Yeah.
1 block and the other block, 2 block. Yeah. Okay, anyway, we leave it to your creativity on how you're going to develop this design. You are just throwing in ideas and tips for you to help you in developing your design further, because it is our interest also that you can develop this into something which is usable to be transferred into a batik motif. Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you want to say, or maybe Cik Najib want to give any comment on this one?
It's okay. I'm listening, and everything's good. I don't have any further comments at this point. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Okay. Next. Next we have Nuradini Raihana.
Hello, good morning. Assalamualaikum. I will share my screen now. Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Sorry. Okay. Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Nuradini Raihana. So from my observations, typical batik usually consists of floral elements and have a large pattern. Some of us may like it and some of us may don't. So from my understanding and observation, millennials nowadays are more interested in minimalistic design. So goes by the theme Aspirana Millennial. The design idea for my batik is sections. Section is the most interesting part in architectural drawing from my perspective. So my design idea for this batik was derived from the section, but in an abstract form. So goes by the name The Wonder of Life Batik. My batik design consists of several cuts of building, which shows the people living in it to make it livelier. I infused human figures and trees into the design. These figures act as a clear and simple indicator of the proportions of a space and also to infuse the typical floral design in batik. But I want to make it more like architectural style. Next, I only use straight lines to create to give a clean and sleek look of my batik. Then for the final outcome, this is like what I done for the first round, but after Mr. Nik explained on how the batik, how the block can be arranged just at some part of the fabric, I think I will revise it again. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Cik Nik, anything you want to add?
I'm excited to comment on this design. One thing for sure, this is actually something very different that I have seen in the batik world before. We have never done something like on the sectional basis, which is actually something that I like the most as well when looking into the building plan or the drawing. But you will need to look into the composition or the repetition, because when I look at the far right, the top right corner, and then it will be repeated and combined with the bottom left corner, right?
Yeah.
Top right and bottom right. So I don't see that as the repetition. The line is not it's not repeating nicely. Do you have the block that has been repeated?
I have this one, but it's a bit blur.
But that one is, oh, that is a block.
Yeah.
So this is 4 blocks.
Yeah. It's actually I only repeat the pattern and mirror it.
Interesting. I think if you can develop this, I also share Nik Faiz fascination with building section. You know, so if you can develop this into a really nice and you know, blockable pattern, then we can have a very interesting batik pattern.
Yeah, and then when I see that this on this design, oh, now I see the mirror of that. So meaning that there will be one block, right?
One is one block.
And then you have one thing you have to look into the repetition and make sure that the line on the top right will be joined with the line on the bottom right.
It's very difficult to get it joined.
Yeah, it has to be joined, so that we don't see the joint whenever we look at the whole composition. And the other thing is that when I look at this, it reminds me of the bed sheet of a children.
Yeah. It's a bed sheet, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would wear. I mean, especially the kids to wear batik, it will be very, very nice, and it will not be seen as going to formal events or whatnot. So yeah, I look forward for this design to be developed further. Hopefully, you will make it as nicest as possible.
Yeah.
So probably.
Nik, I think you're right, because I'm agree with you, because all of us looking on the adults batik, but this one I would agree that when you mentioned about it could be for the kids batik, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe we can consider that. Yeah.
Pajamas and you know.
Yeah, pajamas or so on. Maybe we can know that. Well done, Noradini. Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Okay. Next we move on to the next one. Teo Kok Fung. This one is interesting. I'm looking forward for your explanation on this concept.
Yes, sir. Sorry, but I couldn't present it right now. Can somebody share the screen for me, because I'm using the phone?
Oh, okay. One.
Yeah. Which number, Teo?
It was
number
40. Number 40.
Number 40. Hold on,
After Teo, Muhammad Farid, yeah? Muhammad Farid, get ready. Let us know if you cannot present. Dapat Cik Wan?
Yep. 40, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yang Kuala Lumpur skyline tu.
Right, hold on. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, right?
Yes.
All right, thank you, sir. Okay, so first of all, good afternoon to all the panels and everybody here. And I would like to apologize because I couldn't turn on the camera because the weather here is not that good and due to the connection issue. So I am Teo Kok Fung, and today I'm going to present about my design over here. So first of all, the architecture element that I implement in this design is about the stainless glass. I think it is quite interesting to put this element into a batik design because so far for me, I have never seen it before, and I think they combines well with the chop thing. And so first of all, the theme is Aspirana Millenia, so I wanted the pattern to fully emphasize on how does the younger generation perceive how does the batik looks like. So I implemented the stainless glass and historical building of Malaysia in a way that is like looks more modern, and so that the millennials will like them. This is also to show the millennials the importance of patriotism, and because all these historical architecture are still like standing still throughout the ages, and they had already witnessed the historical event over the ages. The straight line of the glass concept on the architecture silhouette is going to be an interesting element in attracting the attention of millennials, compared to like the curve of the typical traditional mark on the batik design. And I haven't done the composition fully yet, but I did consider if like we were to fully utilize this design on the batik cloth, we can like because it was like when I was designing this design, I did consider about the negative and the positive spaces so that it wouldn't look so like not so balanced. It is like fully balanced, and the rhythm is there when they apply the motif on the batik cloth. I think that's it from me. Thank you.
Okay, Nik, any comment?
My comment on this design is that one thing, you are creating like a horizontal line, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when you repeat on that, then on the fashion, it will be seen as the building will be like normal version of the building, which is going upward, and the other one is going downward. So I don't know whether that is something interesting to be shared, but again, we can explore lah. I'm looking forward to see the whole composition. I don't see this as going to be like repeated on a grid, a line, but maybe you would want to repeat that, you know, organically or what. And then when I look at this, meaning that the wax will be on the white color, the white color one, right?
It is on the black, I think. The wax.
The wax will be on the black.
Oh, wow. Then it's very difficult because you have a very big black area there. I thought it's supposed to be on the white area because the effect like the stained glass thingy can be achieved by wax. You know, when the wax crack, then the color go through it, right? So I thought it's like that. But anyway, this is your design. You decide how you're going to develop this paper, you know. And the way I can see it, how you're gonna maybe you can make it more distinctive, the skyline, and less black area, and maybe instead of upside down like this, it's like a mirror effect. So you can see the skyline of the city with the mirror on the water kind of effect, kind of things, you know. Then it will be. So I think that one it will be easier to implement rather than this one, because if you imagine it on a cloth, you can see one side is like a border and the other one is going downwards, which is a bit strange, you know. But anyway, that's not a millennial perception because I'm no longer a millennial. So maybe the millennial will look at it in a different way. Again, you have seen some of the previous example given by your competitor, and you can see how they develop it into a very well developed pattern that can be used for on a fabric. So think about this, and you can develop further this design. You don't have to stick to this pattern. You can actually develop, rearrange, and whatever that it takes.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Theo? Oh, I think we lost him. Okay, anyway, thank you for sharing your thoughts on this one. So we move on to the next one. Farid? Farid, can you share your screen?
Okay, hello, Assalamualaikum. Wait, I share my screen. Okay, you guys can see, right?
Can.
So this is my batik design. I just make it manually using technical pen. And so I got this inspiration of batik from how spider make a web at the windows. So I came up with the design of combination of spider web at the windows. In just 1 hour, they made the webs, and it shows us that time is precious. And then my concept is like a biomimicry of the spider webs and the combination of the windows. And then I use the element point and line to make it focusing on the middle, and like make the people when look at the batik, it was like from outside into inside. The movement is like macam dari focusing from outside to inside lah, macam tu. And then
do you have a repetition on this pattern?
Yes. I didn't make it yet.
Okay.
But I plan to like make it repeated somehow, like repeated whole, and then some is small, some is bigger, and then otherwise like at the bottom part of the shirt, and the design is like fade away from outside into inside, like that.
How do you plan to do that?
Like apa tadi kan, waxing ni kan macam ada macam
okay.
double layer tu kan.
So we wait for you to produce your video lah to show that. Encik Nik, any comment on this one?
Okay, this is one of the interesting designs that I have seen also. Except that, meaning that when I look at this composition, meaning it won't be repeated next to each other kan. Maksudnya macam dia tak akan dekat-dekat.
Yes.
It will be like organic and standing. Okay, all right. So I also look forward to see the composition and how will you create the formation of this design. And I don't see there's a real problem on the line, except that the small details tu memang nak kena tengok to not have it.
You can make sure the line, the distance between the line, one that Encik Nik has emphasized in the earlier slide presentation.
Right.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add, Farid?
I just want to add like in term of millennial, it's like I implement like abstract those line, like abstract that show some spaces between line. So that like nowadays millennial kan suka macam like pakai baju like nampak abstract-y macam tu lah.
Okay,
so
all right.
Thank you.
Okay, next Ayasha, are you here? We have 3 more. Ayasha, are you here? Ayasha Siddiq Kishi. No? She's not here? Then can we have Aimi Dahlia?
Yes.
Aimi Dahlia, can you present your... after Aimi Dahlia, the last one, C1 key.
Okay, may I present now?
Yes.
Okay, batik patterns have evolved from floral to geometric patterns following the trend of youngsters currently who are keen toward minimalist design. Malaysia consists of various...
Do you have a screen to share?
Yes.
You're not sharing the screen.
Oh,
Your
okay.
screen. Yeah.
Okay, can I talk first, then I share the screen?
Oh, okay, all right.
Malaysia consists of various races such as Malay, Chinese, and Indians. And this particular batik pattern design inspired by a local Indian cuisine, which is vada puff. This Vapa batik is inspired by the famous Indian cuisine. And the pattern is a result of tracing from a section of the vada puff painting that I produced, and which consists of different types of shapes and lines intended to portray excitement. And then I geometricize into basic geometric shapes such as circle, triangle, rectangle, and square to attain a fixed shape. And I also apply ordering principle, which is rhythm. The repetition of circle shapes is arranged in different sizes and juxtaposed to each other. And the combination and unity of the overlapping circle shape expresses movement. And the intended unified movement of all elements and motifs juxtaposed produce a harmonious movement in rhythm. The batik pattern has the uniqueness of each section that is arranged in a linear organization in order to form a clear and culminating a pleasing effect to the whole batik pattern design. And I also apply color, which I use orange, blue, and white. These three hues are inspired by the art piece The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali from the Surrealism art movement. Okay, may I share the screen?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, actually this is the painting that I produced manually. Then I choose a section which consists of various shape and line. Then, and this is the section that I choose. And then I geometricize it into basic shapes such as triangle, square, rectangle, and circle. Sorry. Okay, and then I use three different colors, which is orange, blue, and white from The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali, which portrays surrealism art movement. Then this is the whole pattern that I produced manually. Okay, then this is the final pattern that...
We can't see anything.
I can't see anything.
We're not sharing, yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, okay, this is the drawing that I produced manually, and I choose a section which consists a lot of shapes and lines. Then this is the section, and then I geometricize it into which consists shapes, which is circle, triangle, rectangle, and square.
Okay.
And then I color it using by The Persistence of Memory Salvador Dali, and this is the final pattern, the combination, and this is the block, the final block. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Cik Nik.
Okay, I am looking at the block. I wouldn't call it a batik block because when you listen to my presentation just now, right? Do you see the thing that we can call a batik block? Because there are too many colors in it, or at least there are three colors.
Yes, there are three colors.
Okay, when you want to create this, meaning that you have to have three different blocks, or yet two blocks maybe.
But yeah. I think, Amin, you need to develop this into a block, into a batik block. You have seen the previous explanation by Encik Nik, kan?
Yes.
So do you know how to translate this into a block?
This is the block.
Meaning that you don't understand. This is not a batik block. Batik block only have, you know, have you seen a batik block? This is the batik pattern, not the batik block.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
There. Look at what Cik Nik showing.
This is the block. So block will need to come in one color. And then if you want to put in another color, then will come in another block. Yeah, so you will need to develop that. This, I mean, basically it's like a drawing. This doesn't look like a drawing. It looks like a graphic painting or something. Yeah.
Maybe you can go back to your earlier pattern when you develop this. You mentioned just now you developed that Indian cuisine into geometry block. Can you move to the previous screen? Not this one, the next one.
Wait.
The next one. No. This one, yes. Can you develop? Yes, this is actually a batik block.
Yeah.
You know, color you add manually. That is another process. So for a batik block, this is what your block should look like. Okay. So from this, you develop it. You develop it into however you want to develop your pattern. Do you understand now?
Yes.
Okay. So don't put that color is next step. Next step. When you already put it on the cloth, then you want to color different color is that's another step. So at this step is actually we are developing the batik block. So from this pattern, you develop it to make it interesting, or you want to, you know, how you want to differentiate between the color using maybe hatching technique, you see. But it's still only two color, black and white, black and white. Okay, so now you know how to develop your pattern into to the next stage.
Yes, thank you.
And you after that you let us know. It is very interesting to see how you're gonna develop this Indian cuisine into a batik pattern.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we have the last person in this group, which is C1 Key. Are you here? Let me see the participants. C1 Key. C1 Key and Ayasha. Anyone of you is here? If not, then I think we're gonna conclude this session. Any questions from other participants? Or maybe
if not, I think
okay.
Yeah, I think the jury can also give some final pointers.
Yes.
Okay. The last three who presented, I want to just give an overall comment on these particular last three, because these are the ones that I remember now. Kita ni bukan millennial ni dah nyanyuk. For someone like me who was born in the 1960s, this whole process today was very valuable for me, because it made me realize that my thought processes are so different from the millennials. And to give an illustration, for example, the one previous to the last one ni yang pasal food tu kan, the Indian food. The one before that, I think everyone can remember. But
the one Farid one just now, right?
Yes, Farid's, yeah. Okay. Now, when I mention all this, I'm certainly not saying that these are not valid designs. These are all perfectly valid designs. I myself chose them, and as one of the jury, it's just that I'm very intrigued, and I'm very how do I say it? Intrigued? Yes, there's one more word, but that's okay. Intrigued by how these designs came about, in the sense that as a veteran, like I'm 60s can, I would not have designed like this at all. And I look at some of these designs, even though I chose them purely because I could feel some sort of connection to them, but frankly, some of the I don't even understand what they are. They just look. I thought, well, they can work, that kind of thing. And Farid's was one of those which was really like mystified. I couldn't, if there's no explanation, I have no idea what it's all about. And similarly with apa tu? Alah, lupa pula nama yang tadi. Amy, siapa yang the Indian food tadi tu? Apa tu?
Amy.
Okay, Amy. And because my daughter's name is also Amin, we call her Amy, so I teringat itu. But to mix Indian food with Salvador Dali is like, wow. And I'm glad that we Malaysians, have that thinking out of the box, that you're thinking of Salvador Dali, because sometimes I think some of our younger generation terbalik pula, they don't know the outside world, they only know artis, what's happening with Sajjad or whatever, all these kind of stupid things that are happening in our world right now. So it's good. I'm very happy to see that many of us here are able to to mix things that have some meaning to them. At least there's a meaning to you, so I like that. So congratulations on all of you. And oh yes, before I forget, also the one with the upside down batik tadi, siapa nama dia? The third last one. Okay, Teo Kofung.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, again, I would not have designed something like that, but I find it very interesting because there's a film. If you know the film, it's called Upside Down. Okay, and all of you, if you haven't watched that film, it's on YouTube, Upside Down, where two parallel worlds exist upside down to each other and they can see each other. Okay, the movie is called Upside Down. The main actress is one famous actress. Alamak, siapa tadi? I was just re-looking at the whole thing. Yes, Kristen Dunst. Itu dah nyanyuk tau, Kristen Dunst. Itu je ingat sebab dia cantik kan. So anyway, do watch that movie, especially Kok Yong tadi yang buat that design, because it brings up some very interesting issues on seeing a parallel world to us that is at once the same and yet unreachable. Okay, because remember that upside down. So anyway, I won't take up any more time. I'm very happy we had this session. I myself learned a lot. I'm sure all of us here did. So congratulations. I really look forward to becoming the jury for the next phase. And I understand there are some here who did not qualify for this round, but again, thank you all of you for submitting, and we really appreciate all your effort and all your designs. Inshallah, hopefully this is going to be at least a biannual, if not an annual effort, Mohd and Cik Nik and our other in here. So let this be something that will inspire you or your teammates for the next for the future. Terima kasih banyak.
Okay, terima kasih. Thank you, Mr. Naj. I share your feeling also, because sometimes that's why sometimes I have to interject, because I was totally surprised by the thing that they brought out. For example, just now the Manchester City building. Looking at the pattern, I didn't even know that actually was inspired by that building. Anyway. I agree. This is a good session. I learned a lot also from this session, from Cik Nik, and also from the participants. A lot of things that different from the way they look. Because as I mentioned, I'm also not a millennial anymore. So probably the pattern that they design.
Hello. You can't say anymore because we were never millennials.
We never. Sorry. Berangan je nak jadi millennial. Okay, anyway, I can see Akitek Adrianta is here, the chairman of the education committee. Can say something before we end the session.
Right. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Convener, Akitek Muluk. I think today's session is a beautiful session, and thank you to all the panels, Akitek Naj, and then I can see Madam Delia and also Natasha, and thank you so much to Nik Faiz. I think this is the one that we're looking for. Remember last last year, I think last 2 years, we talked about this, where I am really impressed that as an architecture background and finally can become a batik expert today, and then to inspire to all young generation today. Even though you keep saying that we are not millennial, but I still believe all of us still feel millennial, still feel as millennial. But you have to remember, dear students, again, we as an architects, when we participate this competition, and then we can see all the finalists, but not those not in finalists. So I should advise to all of you, feel love to the design, because as you know that design is like is the thinking made of visual actually, So what we're looking now is not about the best or the great one, but I'm looking for the approach for the young generation architects. Do you believe it or not? You realize or not? You're not designing a batik, but actually you bring all the fundamental of architecture and then towards to the concept of Aspirana Millennial. For me, there are 3 responses to piece of design that you have shown. It's about either yes or no, and another one is about wow. So the wow things is the one to be aimed for. So design is the way of thinking actually, my dear students. So thank you so much. I still remember that Nik Faiz and Natasha, I think this is the one that become reality. And this is what, become reality. I'm also thinking about when I took my SPM years, I took batik and then I got an A for my SPM for lukisan, for arts, because I remember it's about doing batik. But when you shown your product just now is about block batik, so that's the one that I have experienced in Craft Tangan Malaysia, in Jalan Konle. So if you guys, all the students, if you're free enough, every Sunday, every weekend, you can go there, have an experience to do batik in life. Well, there you are. We're looking forward to the results come out, and then see, you have a feedback from our speakers today, Nik Faiz. And I wish you all the best to all the students. Do love your design, and then gain a positive energy into it. Okay. Thank you so much to Rizwan as a PAM secretariat behind the scene here, to giving a platform for us, and also to all the panelists, especially for Nik Faiz, who spent time the whole morning here. And thank you to Mr. Convener, Mr. Muluk. On behalf of PAM Education Committee, we would like to say congratulations to all of you in advance, and thank you so much. Mr. Muluk, thank you.
Thank you, Akitek Adrianta. Actually, on a personal note, as an architecture student way back in the 80s and the 90s last time, I used to wear batik to studio. And my batik is drawn by my brother, who is also an architect. So you see, it's and my mother is the one that make the dress for us. But now my brother is no longer drawing batik. He's went into something else, so I think it's good for us to try to get the younger generation to appreciate batik more, because we can see now less and less people are wearing batik, So and then there's not that much choice. If you want to wear batik from Malaysia, I have to wear batik from Indonesia. This one is from Yogyakarta. So you see, so I have a personal struggle when I want to present my paper in Indonesia wearing an Indonesian batik. I feel so not good, So when I'm going out to look for Malaysian batik, I have very limited choice. So that's why I personally would like that this kind of competition one is to promote batik usage among the younger generations, and second, of course, to develop the art into something which is more contemporary. So I think before we end this session, can I have everyone to switch on your camera so we can have one last snapshot before we end this session? And thank you very much. I can see Miss Kartini also here from Puncak Alam, right? Or you have a studio session ongoing now?
Yes, our first day of live studio session.
Okay, you are lucky because you are in a green zone,
Our campus is a green zone.
All right.
I see.
All the best, Kartini. All the best, Kartini. Send my regards to all. Yeah.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We're trying.
Okay, everyone, please on your camera. We're gonna take a screenshot now.
Yeah, all right.
Get ready, everyone. One.
Nik, I'm not sure. Is it behind is the Gahara Batik or not? Is it Gahara Batik? My backdrop?
Gahara.
Yeah, all right.
Wow.
Gahara has a very distinctive pattern. What is that, Nik? Bunga kecubung?
Ketamburi.
Ketamburi.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow,
Ketamburi.
ketamburi.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Nice,
get ready,
nice.
everyone. 1, 2, 3. Okay, second page. We have
Wow, wonderful.
1, 2,
All the
3.
future architects. Yeah.
Thank you, Cik Kamaro, for
Cik Kamaro, thank you.
Yeah, for
Okay, thank you,
inviting some of your students here.
Your
Thank you,
co-convener
everyone.
Idris.
Yes.
Co-convener Idris mana? Idris. And then Miss D tadi kan? Natasha, yeah.
Another meeting, so she has left.
Yes.
So anyway, especially to the student who
Thank you very much.
spent the time with us, almost 2.5 hours, going through all the 15 finalists' design. I think it's a good session. So it's it gives clear understanding for the students. What are the juries are looking for when looking at your design? So I think when you produce your final 2 minutes video presentation, bear in mind all the things that have been shared by Encik Nik just now, and also by other juries. With that, I want to end this session. Thank you very much. Looking forward to your final submission. Assalamualaikum and good day, everyone. Bye.
Be safe, everybody. Be healthy. Bye.